A huge problem when you're changing wheels on most modern bikes is once you've undone your spindle nut and you start to slide the spindle out and you're taking the wheel out, the caliper and the caliper holder tends to start falling down and it all becomes very messy. So I found quite a simple solution, it's quite easy to do, is it involves a tiny bit of engineering. It's a simple case of drilling through your outer plate here and drilling into your caliper holder. Now you tend to have to drill and tap that so it's got some sort of a thread in it, and then you drill a slightly larger hole here so you can countersink the bolt, and then you simply use a sort of a 4 or a 5mm bolt. It doesn't have to be anything, you know, massive or substantial, just to secure the outer plate to the caliper. That way when the spindle comes out, the caliper stays in place. It saves an awful lot of time fiddling about. Very simple, and on most bikes nowadays they have this plate system and it's quite easy to do.
Another tip to help you get the back wheel into the bike easier is to chamfer the bottom edge or the leading edge of the brake pads. This allows the disc to easily find its way between the two pads as you're lifting the wheel into place.
Another really simple idea is often when you're taking the wheel out of the bike, the front wheel out of the bike, once you release the calipers they tend to sort of flop down, hanging on the weight of the hose itself, and they get in the way of the wheel and all the rest of it, so it becomes a bit of an issue. So this wire, it's a simple thing, it's a coat hanger bent over at both ends, quite simple. Hang over the end of the handlebar or the end of the brake lever. And then once your caliper bolts are out, slide the caliper off and simply hook it over the end. That allows you to get the wheel in and out, calipers supported, and job's a dream. It makes the job so much easier. And obviously the reverse when it's going back on, you just drop it straight quickly back into place. Happy days.
It's not a good idea, particularly when you're securing brake lines or electrical wires either to something or against something, is to tie them directly together. So a simple idea sometimes to keep them apart and to secure them is to use either 2 zip ties, one going round both of them, and then pinch them together in the middle, and that acts as a separator. Or another idea is you can use a small length of like 1/4 inch rubber tube, pass a zip tie through both or round both of the hoses or wires, and then through the centre of the tube, and that keeps them apart. Simple idea, and it stops the wires from chaffing and keeps them apart. On Brembo master cylinders, the pin which the front brake lever pivots on has a little clip underneath. I've known them in the past for the clip to actually get flicked off through one thing or another, and then the pin can start to work its way out. So as a double security, what I tend to do is run a zip tie round and through, and that just helps to secure the job.
It's not unheard of on the racetrack or in the racing world for oil filters not long after they've been changed to unspin, come loose, and a massive oil leak, major problems. A way to help that is once it's timed up to the correct torque, theoretically it shouldn't come off, but just to double check on that, simple use of a Jubilee clip. Slide the Jubilee clip over the filter. On the Kawasaki it's quite ideal because the Jubilee clip can't go right the way around. Once that's nipped up, there's no way now the filter can actually come off, because to rotate it anti-clockwise that has to go over the top, and there's no way it can do it. On some bikes where the filter's in a different place, you could perhaps drill and tap a bolt, so you can run a lock wire up to a bolt or up to the top of a hose or somewhere. There's usually somewhere where it can go to, but the only way to secure it to the filter, obviously don't attempt to drill that, but use the Jubilee clip. A similar thing with the oil filler plug. I've known them come out in the past, and again it's a major oil leak. So simply drill through the end of the plastic plug. Again on the Kawasaki there's an ideal little thing once you're using your GB racing covers. drill a small hole in the plastic there and run a piece of lock wire up. Make sure obviously it's in the correct direction. If you put it on this side, it actually allows it to start to turn and come loose, so make sure it's on the correct side. When you're securing a bike into the back of the van, sometimes actually the anchor points can be a bit of a tricky thing. To save running straps over the top of seats or something, this is my Frank, my 2006 R1, and the original rear footrest mounting plates, once they're removed there's holes there, so I used an exhaust bracket, an exhaust clamp, quite simple, and then bolted it through, so it gives you two separate tie down points, one for each side, and it allows you to pull it down to the floor of the van and makes a really good job, and they're out of the way and it never is too much of an issue. Similar idea on the Kawasaki is the original rear footrest hanger, is to use a shackle and then run a bolt straight through it, a couple of washers to keep the two apart, and that gives an excellent tie down point instead of going over the seat or trying to hook onto the frame somewhere.
Another easy thing to add is an Optimate charging point on your bike. It allows you to top up or leave on charge your battery without having to disturb any bodywork or panels, etc. A radiator guard is a relatively inexpensive way of protecting your radiator. It only takes a small object flicked up from the front wheel to puncture the radiator and end up ruining your day.